Hello folks, Ranger 1 here. Today I've got a special story for you. It has a little bit to do with the gentleman that turned in this replay, Ocrilat. Thank you very much for turning in the replay, by the way. It's about Ocrilat and a little bit about me and a very special player named SlappyMcGee. Ocrilat is one of my best subscribers. He's been with me for a very long time. He's been playing War Thunder for a while. Primarily arcade battles, as most people do. He and Slappy, however, have started playing together, and he tells me that they have been inspired by some of my videos to give realistic battles a try. You know, I can't tell you how that makes me feel. It's really kind of a feather in the cap for someone who does videos like this. It makes me feel kind of humble and kind of proud. Thanks for letting me know that. It does mean a lot. But anyway, these two have been having quite a bit of fun. This is one of the first battles that they have had that's a realistic battle. They're playing together. We're going to show you Slappy here in just a second. But right now, Ocrilat is taking his T-28 up the eastern side of the map to blunt any attacks that may be trying to flank around and interfere with Slappy as they take the A capture point. All too often when two players are working together, you find them both, well, hugging each other's sides, not leaving the other one at all, and that has certain value, yes, but it's also very effective for one person to be going after objectives and the other one to simply cover their advance. It's a very smart way to play the game. It's going to pause long enough to take out this AI tank. It's going to take a few shots. These things can be pretty pesky, as I'm sure you're all well aware. Ocrilat is still getting used to firing the weapon of the T-28 without the aid of the targeting reticule that you have in arcade battles. And it does have a pretty fair amount of drop to it. It's not the highest velocity projectile in the world. He's going to run into some fairly heavy resistance just a little ways up this ravine. Slappy has helped capture the A point at this particular moment in time, and it is a break map, so it is now back firmly nestled between the enemy spawn points. He's encountering the first serious resistance of the match. There are two Stoogs up on that hill to his left. They're not paying attention to him, so he's got a perfect shot up at him. Stoog's got good armor, though. It may take a few shots for the T-28 to have its full effect felt. Okay, that one went down with one hit. It was well placed. He's still got to work on Bob Box. Bob's not moving very well now. Looks like he's heavily damaged. Up, he goes down just before the artillery strike finishes him off. That's 2 kills for Ocrilat. Not bad. Remember, this is one of the very first realistic battles that he's been in. He's trying to take opponents that are at relatively short range. It's a lot easier to hit them at short range in this tank, considering its main weapon. And he's got resistance ahead of him too. It's an M15. He's going to advance cautiously. He's still got cover at this point. There are a couple of teammates well behind him that will push forward to give him some support, but for the moment, he's on his own. Now keep in mind, the T-28 may be a big tank, but it has armor that is paper thin. Its sheer bulk offers it some protection. And his twin machine gun turrets there in the front can soak up some shots, but about the only well-armored part of the tank, if you can call it well-armored, is the mantlet. And possibly the armored ring you can see around the rest of the turret. And that's not great armor. Okay, he's taken that one down. But we saw a couple of other enemies up there. There is a Russian anti-aircraft gun. The SD KFZ-62. Get some shots into that. That thing is going to tear him up, though. It's got a very effective gun. He trades shots with it for a while. He rakes it with machine gun fire, which is one of the best things about the T-28. It's got a couple of good machine guns up front in those turrets, and another coaxially mounted beside the main gun, but he's starting to get torn up, and he's going to have to back off a little bit. At this tier, an anti-aircraft gun like that can be extremely dangerous, especially when it has cover, as this one does. Ocrilat's going to take a moment and repair the damage that's been dealt him. Give that anti-aircraft gun a chance to look elsewhere. It's still focusing on him, but its fire is not as accurate as it could be, and Ocrilat puts one directly through the driver's cab, finishing it off. There's another one up there too, though, so he can't just blunder around this corner without support, or he'll be walking right into the hornet's nest. The rest of the team is putting pressure on the A capture point and are managing to at least keep it under threat, although they haven't really made any significant progress to taking it. Well, the other anti-aircraft gun has headed in that direction or been taken out by friendly forces. Support has finally caught up with him, and Ocrilat is going to push up this ravine toward the nearest enemy spawn point and link up with friendly forces there. Ocrilat now has 4 player kills and 1 AI kill. And you have to admit, for someone who is just starting out in realistic tank battles in War Thunder, that's pretty darn good. But the bulk of this video really isn't about Ocrilat. It's more about SlappyMcGee. Yep, that's Slappy. Finally caught up with Ocrilat in a stunning canary yellow T-80. Normally I'd have a few comments about that, but this time I don't, and you'll see why in just a minute. Now this is the battle from Slappy's point of view. I have a very specific reason for showing you this, just please bear with me for a couple of minutes. It's quite a colorful T-28 that Slappy's starting out the match in, with the Christmas pinup girl on the top of the turret and what's that on the front? Oh my, that's quite revealing. I'm going to say this right now. Slappy's not putting those Christmas pinups on the top and front of the T-28 for the same reasons that I might. Slappy's putting them on that particular tank because they're Christmassy. You see, Slappy is related to Ocrilat. Actually, Slappy is Ocrilat's 8-year-old niece, playing War Thunder in a realistic battle with her uncle. So when Slappy puts something like that on her tank, you can be pretty sure it's because it has a Christmas theme and she likes that. Now, some of you guys may want to keep this in mind too. I have said before that I always try and keep, well, these videos clean for various reasons, but I always try and keep it very clean and chat in a particular battle as well, because there are kids that play this game. You really need to keep that in mind unless you don't care about such things, and if that's the case, this is probably the wrong channel for you. I think it is simply outstanding that Ocrilat and Slappy game together, and Slappy's father gets involved in the party as well on occasion, but he's not in this particular match. And he's not going to feature in the excerpts I'm going to show you from the next match either, but his time will come. Slappy has stuck the nose of her tank just far enough into the cap circle to be effective in actually capturing it without putting herself in harm's way of that inevitable artillery strike that's going to hit the center of the cap zone. At the same time, she's going to keep a watchful eye on her uncle over to her right and make sure that he's doing okay. I think that it's outstanding that a family can game together to find a common interest like this. When I was having to bite my fingernails every day because my son, who was in the Air Force, was stationed overseas, during a time when things were very, very tense. One of the nice things about the Air Force and where he was stationed on occasion, he would have access to internet from time to time and could actually get on and play games every once in a while. We would play EVE Online, and I could keep in contact with him. We could both jump on TeamSpeak and I could just treat him like he was still here. That was pretty nice. It's amazing that we live in a time when a family can do things like this together, even if they're not on the same continent. Slappy just got a kill there. I hope you didn't miss that. Yes, Wolf 18, you just got wrecked by an 8-year-old girl. And I think that's outstanding. Well, so far in this match, Slappy has given a pretty good account of herself. She's managed to capture a base, and she's gotten herself a kill, and she's done a pretty fair job of covering her uncle's left flank. But her time in this tank, the T-28 is one of her favorites, by the way, just like it's one of mine. Her time in this tank, though, is about to come to an end. You see, as she joins up with the rest of the team and starts heading directly toward the A capture point in its new position, she gets into a duel with this M4A1. She angles her tank fairly well, a little bit too much, but not too bad, and begins to open fire. Now keep in mind, she doesn't have names over the enemy tanks, so she's having to figure out what's a live tank and what's a dead tank, all on her own. She starts putting shots in the M4A1 and riddling him with machine gun fire, but he's about to return the favor. They trade blows for a little while, but finally she takes track damage, tries to turn to move away, gets ammo racked, and that's it for that T-28. Well, that's unfortunate, but she's gotten more than enough points to spawn in a little T-80. I think it comes as no surprise that she makes a beeline straight to link up with Ocrilat, and you can't really blame her. It's not because she's worried about being out there on her own. No, I think she's more worried about Ocrilat's safety than anything else. That yellow paint job just cracks me up. That is just perfect for an 8-year-old girl. You know, the more I look at this video and the excerpts that I'm going to show you from the next one, the next battle, I kind of think more and more that that paint job is quite intentional on Slappy's part. She has absolutely no problems at all drawing fire away from her uncle, and will put herself directly in harm's way to protect him. You'll see a little bit more of that coming up pretty soon. Right now they're advancing on the A capture point, along with a good chunk of the rest of the team. The enemy team is still trying hard, though. They're laying in some pretty heavy-duty airstrikes. There's still several of them on the ground, and they've been spawning in at that northernmost spawn point for their team. So they're going to have to do this the hard way. They're going to have to actually capture this base to end the match. Ocrilat moves in first, with Slappy covering his right flank. Ocrilat tells me that Slappy started out just simply watching him play War Thunder, and then very gradually migrated into playing herself. Ocrilat tells me she's come to enjoy playing War Thunder a great deal, and for some unknown reason she enjoys my videos as well. Well, Slappy, this one's for you. Ocrilat's being clever. He's decided to park himself on that raging fire so it will make him appear like he's been partially destroyed. Slappy doesn't seem to think much of that strategy on his point. That's not nice, Slappy. Stop shooting your uncle. Slappy and Ocrilat have worked very well as a team, and they take that match with very little trouble. I'm going to show you some excerpts from this next match as well. In this case, both of them are in KV-1s. Well, KV-1 ZIS-5s, which is not a bad tank. And it's a few days after the first battle that I just showed you. I'm showing you this battle for two reasons. Number one, it shows you just a little bit more of what I've been talking about as far as the really exemplary gameplay from SlappyMcGee. And number two, it gives me an opportunity to tell you the third point of this video. You see, there's a little bit of me mixed up in this as well. I occasionally have people ask, you know, why did I start this channel to begin with? Is it just because I'm an avid gamer? Aren't I a little bit old for this? Well, maybe. You see, watching Slappy play with her uncle reminded me a lot of my own kids. I have 3 children, My oldest is 33. My youngest is a little girl of the tender age of 10. And I'll probably start gaming with her more often, just like I have with my other children from time to time. And you've probably seen my older son in a video if you've watched any of the ones that I've done on Ark Survival Evolved. And my youngest loves that game too. And that will probably be the game that I seek to get her involved in first. She'll probably go by the handle of Tiny Viking. But I need to get her a rig that can actually handle that game because it's a little demanding right now. And that's the only reason why I haven't so far. But it got me thinking about this because, well, the whole reason why I started this channel, I'm going to be 55 at the end of this year. And when you have kids, especially when one of them is that young, you start thinking about what are they going to have if anything happens to me. You know, memory's a funny thing. You start forgetting details about even people as near and dear to you as your parents. But I discovered I had this great tool at my disposal. Not just a handful of wrinkled old pictures or perhaps an old home movie. I've got hundreds of videos of me talking to you. But, well, honestly, half of those conversations aren't entirely directed at you guys. They're directed at my kids. There's something that they can watch no matter where they are, no matter at what point in time in the future. If they want to hear my voice, they can hear my voice. And if you've ever wondered why a lot of my videos sound like bedtime stories, well, they kind of are. Just like the bedtime stories my little girl asks me for all the time. It's just my roundabout way of leaving a little bit of myself for my children. And if you have children of your own, or if you're going to in the near future, you might consider it. It doesn't have to be gaming videos. It could be anything. I don't know if you just saw it, but Ocrilat just took a pretty savage blow to the front of his tank. He's damaged. He's trying to back off and repair. He's getting hammered pretty hard by that M4A1, and Slappy immediately moves forward and puts herself directly between the enemy tank and her uncle. She has absolutely no concern for her own safety or how well she's going to do in this match. Her only concern is protecting her uncle, and she takes out the most threatening tank on the field at that moment. This little girl is a better player than 99.9% of the players that I find myself in most War Thunder matches. I only wish that I had people back me up as well as she backs up her uncle. There's a Panzer IV threatening from the right. She drives him back. Gun motor carriage moves in to assault the capture point. She takes him out quite professionally. And both of them will hold the capture point until the end of the match. Very well done, Slappy. I'm proud of you. The very next War Thunder video that I do is going to feature Ocrilat and Slappy's father. Now, they don't know I have this video. It was actually turned in by another one of my subscribers. And it's going to show you what happens when Ocrilat and Slappy's father venture into War Thunder without Slappy guarding their back. I know I'm kind of springing that on you all unaware, Ocrilat. I hope you don't mind. Surprise! I'm not going to give any spoilers of how that match turns out, but let's just say, well, it shows what happens when two rather new players to War Thunder realistic battles run into a seasoned veteran and don't have their guardian angel there to watch their back. However, in this battle, Ocrilat and SlappyMcGee will take the capture point and win this match. That's it for now. Until I'm with you again, take care of yourself and your family, and good hunting. Thanks for watching. I hope you were entertained. If you liked the video, please remember to subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you. And I'll see you next time.